Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature successful business leaders, top law firms, green energy companies, and more. Today, we are joined by the founder and CEO of DJinn Technologies, the founder and CEO of Kryotech, and the creator of Vox Messenger and Vox Crypto. This is all just one person. That's JB Benjamin. JB, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Fantastic. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, glad to be here, man. I always love yattering on about the stuff that I do and getting it out there.
Fantastic. Well, before we get too far in, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. Hackers find ways to bypass security every day. The modern business is like a massive house, and it doesn't matter how much or how little you spend on your security system. If you don't have a way of knowing when criminals have found a way to bypass your security, they're going to do what they came to do, and your alarm system isn't going to stop them. If you don't have a way of detecting intruders that have found a way past your security, check out cyberlinks.com. That's cyberlynx.com. And now back to our show. All right, JB. Man, I have so many questions for you. Now, Vox Messenger is, it's just super cool. Love what you're doing there. For those who aren't familiar, can you give us the kind of elevator pitch?
Yeah, okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you two. One is the standard tagline, and then I'll give you the one where we explain how everything is just a buzzword and what the real stuff is. So Vox Messenger, the post-quantum encrypted video chat messenger of the future. Yes, it's easier to use than WhatsApp, and it is 200 to 400 times stronger than Signal. Now, that actually really means nothing in everyday terms. What it should say is we use a type of encryption which is very different to everybody else's. Everybody uses a standard called elliptic curve, which is it's been around since the dawn of RSA in the 1980s and 1990s, and those little secure ID keys. Now, for those of us who work in cryptography know that most of the RSA standards were already backdoored by the NSA and American government way back when. So incorporating them in anything is pretty kind of stupid. But when that's all there is, what can you do? So the world around us uses elliptic curve, which is the process of finding two parametric points across an elliptic curve. Yay, super secure. What we use is a class of algorithms called post-quantum algorithms. These algorithms work on a basis of lattice cryptography. Now, lattice cryptography is in orders of magnitude insanely harder to navigate than elliptic curve. When you're using lattice-based cryptography as an example, you may be able to work out the beginning point and the end point of any other data stream, but you'll never ever be able to work out the curves and loops inside of that sequence, which means it is insanely hard. Now, why do they call it quantum? Post-quantum. Basically, they're encryption algorithms which standard modern-day computers cannot break. Even the first couple of generations of quantum supercomputer will struggle. This basically means when you're leveraging these, you're in a very good place. Another thing to look out for is you need to always check that the algorithms being used obey modern standards. Ours do. They are NIST finalists, NIST being the National Institute. That's a big American standardization group whose name I can only remember the first half of, but they're NIST, those guys. It was a finalist in NIST. The other unique feature of Vox Messenger is it's not just that it's a lot more secure than everybody else, is that we just don't have ads. We hate ads. So we don't have any reason to save, store, or exploit your data, which is our most important thing at Kryotech. We're obsessed with that, making sure that we don't hang on to any of your stuff. Because for us, it's your digital soul, man, you know?
I love it. So, well, let me ask you then, how do you make money?
Okay, we make money by building stuff that people actually want to use. It's actually a very good question. So, for example, we have one of our first subscribable features coming out later in the year. We're adding the ability for you to do like Zoom-like stuff in Vox Messenger. Sorry, Zoom. Yes, you heard it first. Vox Messenger is going to be competing with you, except we're genuinely encrypted, whereas you guys only decided to add your encryption 2 years later after you got your hands caught in the cookie jar. So also, by the way, just so you're aware, all of your audience should know this, Zoom have recently changed their terms and conditions. Every Zoom phone call being had, including this one, is being used to train the Zoom AI. That's right. Every video call you make on Zoom is being recorded and used in training their LLM, which means don't be discussing proprietary secrets. Don't be discussing legal stuff. And if you're a cheat and having affairs, probably don't use Zoom either, to be fair, because, it's going to get found out.
I love it. Okay. So, so I noticed that currently it works on Android and Amazon's platform, right?
It's an app store, yeah.
Yeah. So, are there plans for an iPhone version?
Yes, there is. Now, the reason we hadn't launched, I know everybody else kind of gives preference to iOS, particularly in the industry. But the reality is, if you look around and actually check stats, Apple iOS is not the main handset in the world. It's actually like the third runner, and it's only the top runner in the Western world. But bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the world is more than just Europe and America. There's like a vast swathe of everywhere else.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah. Sorry, newsflash.
Okay, it just got weird.
Yeah, I know. Look, the British have spent centuries with their empire trying to make everything British and make everybody drink tea. I get it. But unfortunately, it hasn't actually stuck that well. And the rest of the world is going, not today. We prefer coffee. So we have to look at bigger markets. Now, this is why we picked Android. Android is pretty much what is the biggest, if not one of the biggest operating systems on the physical handsets in people's physical hands, not the Statista stuff, which is all pretty much made up to stand anyway. So we released on Android first. Also, Android coding is about half the cost of developing for iOS. iOS is a way more expensive platform to develop for. I'll give you an example. If you're building for iOS, you need to make sure you have one of their latest phones capable of running Xcode. I held that up and it's a bloody Android because I haven't got an iOS anymore. You have to have a phone that can run their latest operating system, which means before you even start developing, you've already forked out for a brand new phone, brand new laptop. Most indie developers are not going to be able to do that. When I started out coding, I wasn't able to do that. I just needed a cheap phone that would work, Yeah. So we're on Android. We're going to be out on iOS in the next 3 weeks. And we've also got a desktop client coming out in the next couple of weeks as well, which will be available on the Windows apps, on the Windows Store and the Apple App Store for people still using Apple computers. Don't know why they would, but
that's awesome. Well, that was my next question. So in the desktop version, so now that we, obviously we want to get off of Zoom, no offense, Zoom, but, given this new, revelation of information that we've just received, would your desktop app, does that give you basically those same Zoom features? So you'll be able to replace Zoom with...
Zoom is a lot more mature than us in that area, but we are adding more features. But the ability for you to make and receive video calls to groups or as individuals is already being packaged there. Now, also our prices are £2 to £3 cheaper than Zoom as well, because why not? It doesn't cost that. It doesn't actually cost that much to do this stuff. This is the thing. If you look at most people, if you look at the amount of money all of these companies are making, it shouldn't have to wait for little old me from a council estate to build a company to get people to do universal basic income. Facebook, sorry Zuckerberg, they could have already done it. Everybody could already have universal basic income and this would be just from the revenue that Facebook make from all of your data that is exploited for their advertising. Yeah, very interesting that one, how none of us are making any money out of this. But anyway, the VaaS system, we try to keep it as cheap as possible. We're not into massive profit margins. We're just about making sure that people get paid properly, like who work with us. And as I said, powering towards universal basic income by 2030, because I don't have any confidence that our governments are going to take care of it. And all of my other peer CEOs are obsessed with either putting penis-shaped rockets on the moon or on Mars. They're not really kind of worried about what happens to the humans here. So I figure I'll do it if nobody else will,
Yeah, I'm sure they've experimented with other designs, but it always just keeps coming back to that. It's got to have to do with aerodynamics, I'm sure.
You know what? I don't know. Bezos really leaned into that.
He really did hard. He did.
He really
maybe a little too hard.
He's got a cap on it and everything.
That's awesome. All right. Well, you touched on the universal basic income, and this I think ties into your into Vox Crypto, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us a little bit
So
about
with Vox Crypto, again, we looked at the crypto space and realized there's a few problems. I mean, first of all, one of the big problems is everybody is dishonest. I mean, everybody is literally looking to prize the gold teeth out of their grandmother's mouth just so they could dump into a project that Matchy has gone or Ryder Rips has gone, yes, go for it. Don't worry, it's not really a pump and dump, which it is.
It never is. No, not if they said it's not. Certainly not. They wouldn't
wag me all day long.
That's
no. Seriously. Beautiful marketing, though. So with Vox Crypto, what we have is the whole thing is encrypted in any case. We also have created another problem in the arena is how do you get crypto sums to loads of people in a single transaction without spending loads of money on gas fees? Because as I'm sure anybody who uses the Ethereum network is literally probably going, I thought the merge was meant to save us. Why is gas so dear? And, gas is so dear because of people like Ryder Rips and the Pepe coin and all those shit coins everywhere. But that's a discussion for a whole other time because it will make people mad when I start talking about it. So instead, what we have done is we have created a smart contract that allows you to, say, send a single sum, like $100, to 50 or more individuals, or say send individually different sums to 50 or more people in a single group for a single transaction fee. However, it's clever enough to create all of the additional transaction hashes you would need to track the individual transactions. And even the total fee, the total gas fee, is significant. It's about 60% less than what the actual total fee would be if you added up the individual gas fees.
Nice. So it's just a smarter wallet.
Yeah. Nice. And of course, we charge for that, that privilege. Also, Kryotech is currently undergoing FCA registration as a small electronic money institution. So what that basically means is we'll be registered with the Financial Conduct Authority, which is the UK and Europe's equivalency to the SEC. And we already have our FCA registration number. It basically means we are the only crypto wallet that is actually financially regulated, which means we're the only one that is obligated to protect our customers, that is actually obligated to audit our security. I mean, we would have launched a few weeks earlier, but we actually already published the smart contract and we found 6 little problems with the smart contract, and we've already pulled it back because even though those individual problems, they were only green level on the traffic light error system. But I'm having worked for years in cybersecurity, I know that attack vectors do not come in one strain. You can combine seemingly tiny, really insignificant issues to create cascading event failures, which can then wind up to a bigger issue. So it's already been pulled and we're already fixing it because that's how we operate. We're not obsessed with the big moolah because otherwise we'd have gone, fuck it, people will be okay with it, we'll just release it, we'll pay, screw it, we'll apologize afterwards, nobody will care, it's crypto.
That's right.
No. I mean, I'll give you an example. I won't even do shows with certain people because of that. I mean, like I would never get on a show with Matchy, for example, or Ryder Rips because they are such intrinsically dishonest people. And I know they'll disagree, but you have to watch what they do in the space. You see the damage created. So Vox Crypto was basically my attempt at trying to move people away from that, trying to actually build. I know people are going to go, but isn't everything meant to be about decentralization and hiding? And it's like, yeah, but dude, you're all getting robbed. So maybe you need to start thinking about this a little bit more. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a tiny little bit of regulation. Look at the internet in the early days. It was Wild West. And then we had to have regulation. We had to have anti-spam laws. We had to have anti-piracy laws. These things, the only reason people can use the internet now is because of regulation to some extent. By the way, I'm not talking about the online safety bill bullshit that has been released by the United Kingdom. That is has nothing to do with privacy, by the way, whatsoever. It's just about oversight. But again, that's a discussion for a whole other show.
100%. Okay, so for your wallet, I'm assuming that you're making your money off of the small transaction fees. That's the plan.
So we charge a transaction fee for user-to-user transactions and for user-to-group transactions, but we're trying to keep them all below a percent. We've also designed the system in such a way that we can actually alter the percentages that we charge for transaction fees rapidly on the fly. So if customers are telling us that they believe as a group that the fees are too high for certain types of transactions, we can actually fix that and alter it like in 24 hours because this is the 21st century. You should be able to do shit very quickly. It shouldn't take, forever to do stuff. So also we have a partnership. We have multiple partnerships for this project because you know what the crypto space is like. Got to have partnership logos, but here's the kicker. You can contact my partners and I'll go, yeah, we actually know him. It's not like when you contact other people like, who? What? Our logos where? We have a partnership with Transact who are facilitating credit card, debit card, and bank account on-ramping and off-ramping. Yes, that's right. You'll be able to purchase your crypto inside of your wallet. So no more going to Coinbase and having to use their stuff. No more having to go to Binance just to top up your wallet. You'll be able to top up your wallet inside your wallet. And you can sell your crypto in the same way out of your wallet directly onto your debit card and credit card.
Wow. Right. I mean, it's what everybody wants. Why it didn't happen before.
We also have a partnership with Wallet Guard. Wallet Guard is the premium extension that is used on all the different browsers. So you can actually detect when a NFT or a piece of crypto is a scam or a phishing wallet. So they have the world's largest database of honeypots, which are constantly tracking this stuff. And what it does is it will automatically check the signature of any interaction, and it simulates the crypto interaction before you say, yes, go ahead. So by simulating the actual action, you can see if it's a drainer or not.
Really cool.
Yeah, so basically means, eventually we're actually going to be offering people insurance on their transactions, but we're going to get launched first and actually make sure everything is all copus. We also have a partnership with Wallet Connect as well. So you don't have to keep connecting your wallet. You can just scan a QR code and you're done.
Wow. Geez, this is awesome. That is, between the messenger and the wallet, that you would think that would be plenty to keep you busy.
But I got one more. It gets even better. Please. Sorry. So Vox Crypto, by the way, at the end of this year is being merged into Vox Messenger. So not only will we be able to use them as standalones, but you will also be able to use them together because we noticed that when we're doing a financial transaction, we communicate a hell of a lot, and decoupling these two things is what leads to the ability for people to insert themselves in the middle of that communication and commit fraud. So we are coupling them together, which basically means we are the first WeChat equivalency in Europe. Sorry, Elon, we got there first.
That's awesome. Well, I can't help but think, because of that, there's so much business email compromise, right? So let's just run through that scenario for a second. Businesses could, in essence, move to this, and all their financial transactions when you're buying goods, selling goods, could go through your Vox wallet and Vox Messenger and easily connect it to your bank account, your debit card. So it's not like a big deal like it is currently, where it's like, such a pain in the ass to try to, we got to move a bunch of money over into Coinbase, and we got to move that into our, what are we going to buy? What currency? And then it's a whole thing. And then it's moving it back out. Well, the price dropped and now we've lost a bunch of money. So in this scenario, could a business use Vox Messenger, Vox Crypto, especially once they're tied together? What would that look like for a business? Would that be a smooth process? Especially if it's kind of their Zoom, right? If businesses are using it as, hey, it's your instant messenger in your company, it's your Zoom, it's basically look, I'm just thinking this is fucking fun. So you could replace, a lot of companies are using Teams because it's built into their Microsoft 365, so businesses like that, because it comes free, it's right there, but it's now, we know it's not quite as secure.
It's not free anymore.
And it's exactly. So now if you replace that with Vox Messenger, and everybody's already talking that way, and now you could start communicating with your clients the same way, especially finance department to finance department. What would that look like in terms of, say, a larger transaction? Just let's think through this for a second. Let's say I'm a manufacturer.
Just to a little side segue to that is, one of the things that's happening with Vox Messenger is we have a whole new version being released next year. This is what we've always been building up towards. Now, some of the things which you mentioned and touched upon are crucial to this, which is the industry is missing a massive problem: interoperability. At the moment, if you want to be successful in anything, even your own personal life, you need to have accounts on Snapchat, Instagram, Teams, WhatsApp, Signal, all these different platforms, because nobody's talking on the same thing. Now, we're introducing native interoperability next year, which means using your Vox Messenger client, you will be able to talk to anybody on your contacts list on whatever platform they're on without having to register to that platform. This is unique. Now, the reason we're bringing this out for next year is because it becomes EU law from 2025 that all social media platforms and communications networks are interoperable. This is the reason why Facebook and Twitter have been threatening to leave Europe, because for everybody else who runs massive data lakes, who keeps all funneling data to the United States, this is a huge problem. You cannot convert a business that runs on a data lake and being able to absorb everybody's data into something that runs on siloing and individual accountability, which is what Europe want everybody to move to. Now, Vox Messenger has always been built in this way. So from next year, you will have full interoperability, which means for businesses, that is a huge get. Because at the moment, the average business is kind of sat between people using WhatsApp, Signal, and Microsoft Teams. And if they're very unlucky, Slack as well. Within a single interoperable messenger that also has the ability to do financial transactions, that is interoperable with all of these platforms, you have the all-in-one. You have the holy grail of messaging. Bear in mind, this is what Elon Musk proposed with X, with what he's doing at Twitter. But the problem he's going to find immediately is that under European law, he's not going to be allowed to transfer the users of X to a messaging platform. It would be classified as anti-competitive and monopolistic. It's not something you're allowed to do here. For example, he's not allowed, say they create X Messenger in Europe, he can't go to all of his users and just direct pipe it and then cut off, say, my messaging on Vox Messenger on his platform. But we know that's what's going to happen. That's why he bought the platform at the end of the day. Right. So this puts us in a really good position. It puts us in a position where we are literally the only functional platform that will actually work for everybody everywhere. Oh, and isn't run by a CEO with a manic ego. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's yet to be determined. I mean, you seem like a cool guy. But
yeah, no, dude, even with money, I'm just pretty much the same. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't like Ferraris. I'm not going to end up crashing a McLaren F1 with Peter Thiel anytime soon. Yeah, right. Eli, I know that story. I'm not a materialistic person, and I'm not really into, fancy women and drugs and alcohol. So it means, this is pretty much it, I'm afraid.
Sorry, there's not going to be any unfancy women, drugs, and alcohol.
This is pretty much
read between the lines. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fantastic. That's really exciting, because I think it's such a huge problem. I mean, as obviously, we focus a lot on the cyber, side of business and the business side of whatever, because that kind of makes the world go round and keeps people eating. We like that. We like to be able to eat and live. And so interesting how much, business email compromise is a problem. I mean, at least in the US, it is a huge problem. Hackers are constantly gaining access to people's email, injecting themselves into a financial transaction and running away with hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, in one wire transaction, and then they're gone. And it's like, really? Nobody could stop this? I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's so prevalent that even the FBI does not, nobody steps in and does anything right away. Nobody catches the guy. So even though they're registered at a bank, even though they've got the person's ID, they know who that is, it takes so long. That person is gone. They just left with $1 million and bloop, gone. They withdrew it all. They open an account, a shit ton of money comes in, they take the money out as soon as the wire, settles, and they're gone. And everybody's like, oh, what? And then by the time it gets around, oh yeah, no, nothing happens to the person because they're gone. They're in the wind. So to be able to kind of prevent that using something like Vox Messenger with Wallet built right in, especially if you can get onto the desktop of all these business users and be like, hey, look, I'm using Vox Messenger. So I'm really excited about this. So you said your desktop app comes out in, did you say 2 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Actually, I
say 2 weeks. We're going to do what all developers should do. We're going to do 2 weeks plus one, because you never know when things go wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Always
Super
pad your
awesome.
times. Always pad your times.
You gotta. I always have to double mine. So anytime I'm like, oh, it's going to take an hour. It's 2 hours. Hey, come on. Realistically, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's going to take a week. It's 2 weeks. 2, 4. Yeah. For real. Yeah. Other companies should get on that. Elon's, since we brought him up a lot, he's so I love my Tesla. Don't get me wrong, but
love
it's
his stuff.
ridiculous. Yeah. Love the stuff, but you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I love his stuff, but if I were an investor, I would be literally crying into my bowl of cornflakes every morning, every time he posts a tweet. Because I'd be like, stop playing with my heart, man. Seriously, you're playing with my money. Seriously.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because of our backgrounds. Bear in mind, I come from a council estate background. So I'm used to doing stuff with no money, no support, and pretty much the whole world against you and just getting it done. So when you come from that background, you end up with this like deep sense of responsibility. I mean, like ridiculous deep sense of responsibility. Like you start feeling you're responsible for a whole world at one point. So you do start thinking very carefully about the things you do, the things you say, how it will impact other people. And I've noticed the more money I make, it seems to make me even worse like that. So it's not like I make more money and become even more irresponsible. I'm like, no, oh my God, where does money come from? Oh my God, I need to make sure, oh my God, I need to make sure that dividends come through. Oh my God, I need to make sure that shares, and it's just, it's fun. It is fun, but I cannot wait for us to be fully revenue generating, because then I can like employ another CEO who's way better at this stuff than me, who's like more of a kind of a guy, and I can get back into my cave and just get back to building. I mean, I'll give you an example. We have something called Angel Eyes. I developed this literally in the cave. Angel Eyes is a 360-degree threat awareness wearable, which you can wear on your head or you can wear around your neck. And what it does is it has 3 cameras, which create a 360-degree 3D map of your environment, and then multiple AIs are analyzing it. So here's a use case. You're walking down the street, you got headphones in, you are doom scrolling Instagram because you weren't depressed enough and you had to get more depressed about how better other people's lives are than yours. And then it tells you via a combination of haptic interface and audio signal that you dumbass, are crossing the road, you haven't looked up, and that there is a vehicle approaching very, very quickly. Now, during our research, we found that if you tap a person on the shoulder, they'll always move in the opposite direction. And if you shout at a person or play a loud sound, it makes them freeze and jump. But if you combine directional feel with audio cues, people don't jump, they actually move in the correct direction you want them to. It's almost like they kind of cancel out each other's negative components. So we incorporate that in the wearable. I mean, with this kind of technology, the situation that people have experienced in the United Kingdom, like Sarah Everard experienced at the hands of the police, could never have happened, because she would have been told that there was an IC100 male behind her with this certain look on his face who was approaching with potential intent. And it would have told her it was intersecting with her path, and it would have recorded it, it would have encrypted it, and he would have been seen and he would have been found.
Wow.
Immediately.
So is this a product that with DJinn Technologies?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's actually a product at Kryotech. So the way it works is it's using the Vox Messenger core system, because we're launching a system later this year called Angel Eyes in Vox Messenger. And what it does is, say, for example, you're going out on a date. You could go into Vox Messenger and select all your people who you want to be your allies. Then what happens is, when you go on the date, you literally press the button that says oversight or overseer. And what happens is all of your allies get a notification that you have gone into an Angel Eyes moment, i.e., this means that they can monitor your tracking data and your messaging data. I'll give you an example. Say you're a parent and your kid is going on a date. You'd say to them, cool, activate Angel Eyes, because then they'll know exactly where they are in real time. Now, if anything goes wrong and the person presses their power button on their phone and presses it hard, it will automatically just send SOS to every single person that is an ally on their list. So those people can contact the police. Now, in the future, it will actually direct contact emergency services for you.
Wow. So the Angel Eye is actually, you said it was a device, right? That you wear.
That's a wearable, but it's also a piece of software. So the wearable is the physical arm of Angel Eyes, as it were, and then the software component is the bit that interacts with Vox Messenger.
So what's the wearable?
I'll give you another example. Pardon?
Say, what's the wearable look like? What's this?
We've actually had multiple designs, prototypes, but we're actually looking at having kind of more like fashion designs, because, as I said, the thing can be put in a headband and it can go around the neck. So there is an opportunity for tons of fashion style accessories. The technology is incredibly light, it's incredibly small, and it's incredibly fast. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we're pushing so hard on Vox Messenger and Vox Crypto to become revenue generating, because to get Angel Eyes fully finished, it's not cheap. We're talking about hardware and software development here. But the other thing is we also want to release, when we release this, we want to release this in big batches, predominantly initially to the people that are suffering abuse in their relationships or in their families, as an example, because these are the things that will help them. I'll give you an example. One of the features of Angel Eyes is that it can tell you if your conversation is toxic or negative. So you can give it permission to access your interactions as you have them, and it'll be able to tell you if your interactions are positive or not, because it will learn from those interactions. For example, it could tell you, say you're a young lady having a discussion with a guy, and you've asked it to give you AI oversight. As the guy is talking, it will possibly say to you, there is a 62% probability he is absolutely lying about what he just said based on his retinal reflex.
Wow.
So you will have that data there when you need it. So, and by the way, it gets even better because the plan is that after a period of time of you wearing an angel eyes, it will learn so much and enough about you. By the way, just so people are aware, none of this is using third-party services, and all of the processing is done locally on the device and on your phone. It never leaves those. So it's very safe and secure. Now, over time, that AI is learning from you. So over time, that Angel Eye becomes your Guardian AI. Guardian AI is a product that we're releasing late next year, which is effectively your personal AI agent that is trained from you and learns from its interactions with you and those of others that you give it permission to. And that will be integrated into Vox Messenger eventually. So you'll be able to have your own companion who's kind of like that friend who talks to you and you can talk back to and share your secrets and worries and woes with.
So how do you do this without consuming an absolute insane amount of processing power? How's that?
Because as I said, A, phones are getting faster and faster, and B, LLMs are getting leaner and leaner. That's it. We have the convergence of technology now that allows us to do incredible things on incredibly small. I mean, think of it like this. Who a few years ago would have thought I would have had that, basically?
Right.
This is where we are now. This processing power is more processing power than probably most of the computers of about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just to put in perspective. Yeah. So bear in mind, we can play Xbox games on these now. I think we're pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, I guess, that's going to obviously affect the battery on that device, to some degree. So it's not like external batteries aren't possible.
Exactly. But again, we do think about these things as well. When we're doing testing, we will actually test how long does the phone operate with the app left completely open, stuff like that. Because again, battery drain is a serious problem. It's not just that. You'll notice a lot of messaging platforms or communications are so obsessed with the West that they do not consider anybody else. For example, if you try to use WhatsApp on some of the lower end phones, which you will find predominantly across Africa, you'll find that WhatsApp itself is killing those batteries because of its battery. It's not battery optimized, basically, for those old operating systems. So I hate, again, this is, if we look at modern technology is kind of governed by a handful, a very tiny group of people, a really tiny group of people. And yet they set the technology for billions of people who are incredibly diverse and come from different socioeconomic backgrounds and have different ways of doing things. And I'll give you an example. In the new UI we've designed for Vox Messenger, we've actually created the ability for you to swap the orientation of people in a video call, because we know that in some cultures, they do not like to see one person above another. So it could be that societally, it could be better for whatever reason, be it that there is a caste system or some other kind of socio system in place, to change that orientation during a call. So we actually we've added that capability. So you push a button, you can switch them all around and have them whichever way you bloody like. If you've got some crazy stuff like that going on. Well, it's crazy to us, to other people it's not. But that technology should be designed in such a way that the most people can adopt it, not just so it's just used for a handful of people,
That is wild. That's exciting stuff, because I mean, there are so many use cases for that. So many places where having that, the angel eyes is going to be huge. I mean, domestic abuse, but I mean, so we have our daughter just went off to college. It's her first year, and turns out that it has become so prevalent for these fraternities to be drugging drinks. I mean, it is so prevalent. It is not even, it's almost like a social norm. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're really bad about it. How are they really bad and nobody's killed them all? How is this a thing? And why do people still go to these parties? It blows my mind. But to your point, yes, we have like Find My, so we know where she's at, but that's a small, okay, great. She made it back okay, right? But that's not the same as her being able to, hey, I don't feel right, and then be able to get help right away simply by hitting the power button.
It gets better. Angel Eyes, because it has biometrics, because we're using something called emoti-bit, we can actually measure different bodily conditions, which means the hardware can track if you're under fear, duress, rage, or whatever, which means this software would be able to functionally tell a person they've been drugged before they were maybe potentially aware of it, because being drugged plays with your body chemistry, heat, temperature, and all this. Now, this tech, because it's there, it'll be able to tell you that before you even bloody know. It'll be able to say, awesome. There's a possibility you may be drugged because we can tell your body ain't quite fucking right. Get out.
That is awesome. Wow. This is cool shit. I can't believe this. I'm so glad you came on the show.
And to think, the British government doesn't fund us. What can I say?
So weird.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's because I'm not a Tory voter, I think. I think that's the reason why.
That'll do it to you every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time, right?
No.
That's fantastic. I tell you what, we haven't even yet really dived into your other company. So we got a few minutes before we finish, and I'd really like to touch base on that. And also, I'd like to have you back on once we get to play with this stuff, because you got so much cool stuff coming on that I think a lot of people would need to know about it. So let's talk about your other company. Can you give us the rundown on DJinn Technologies?
I mean, actually, DJinn Technologies kind of winds us back a little bit to Angel Eyes, because the computer vision stuff that's operating in Angel Eyes is all tech from DJinn. Now, just to give you an idea of the versatility of Angel Eyes, we're actually in discussions at the moment with the development of a version of Angel Eyes for military vehicles, which basically means using these cameras, they'll be able to detect if there is a Kryotech or whatever the names of these bloody drones and things flapping around are. They'll be able to detect that in real time. Not only that, they can network the sensors across. So imagine you had a load of Abrams moving along the field. You can actually network our sensors and our software to create a 6 degrees of freedom view of the map in real time as they're moving around, which then give you a 3D point of where missiles and other projectiles are coming from. So, yeah. Now with DJinn, if you want to get computers to be able to interact with humans properly, you have to solve the computer vision problem. Computer vision, bear in mind, our human vision is what accounts for probably about 80-90% of what we can actually do. Because without vision, we don't know where to put our foot to walk. Without vision, we can't read. Without vision, we can't see a person's expression of interest during a conversation. Having vision is incredibly important. Now, if we look at LLMs and the advancement of AI, they did not start increasing their ability to understand and communicate with humans until computer vision was kind of getting solved. Like, what is an object? How do you interpret an object? So that's the reason why we kind of pushed ahead with getting markerless camera sync out the way, because you need that, because as we have more and more sensors, needing to synchronize those sensors with a formal marker becomes even more and more unrealistic as you go through time. Imagine, for example, you're working in a surgery and everything knocks out. What, you're going to take your gloves off and walk around the QR code? Excuse me a sec. Yeah, he's bleeding. Don't worry about it. I've just got to sync up these cameras. Which is kind of where you're at with everybody else's software. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are. You've all got the same bloody problem. You either need 4 bloody iPhone 13s to do what you're going to do, which, sorry, what average person can afford 1 iPhone 13, let alone 4 of the sodding things? And then on top of that, it's just on iOS. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at, and the software is always horrendously expensive. I mean, there is a reason why people like Dimension Studios charge $6,000 a minute for 3D capture. And they're booked out 2 years ahead, by the way. They're the studio that they do all of the work for Marvel and DC and all the big superhero movies that we're crapping out like it's never going out of fashion at the moment. By the way, I say that about Joss Whedon movies, not Zack Snyder. His stuff is awesome. Oh, yes, Zack. We love you, man. So with DJinn, the idea is we solve computer vision and we make it easier for everybody to adopt. Now, the spatial scan software we've designed works on your mobile phone. You don't need, everybody else uses the Connect DK sensor by Microsoft, which they've now discontinued manufacturing. If you're lucky enough to find one secondhand, it's like almost $2,000 on eBay. I mean, nobody's
silly. Yep.
Yeah. So, and they're massive, by the way. In fact,
they are. Yeah.
Show and tell. I've actually got a Connect right here. So that's the Connect. And let me grab another sensor if I've still got it. No, I haven't. Okay. So the Connect, massive, bulky. The sensors we use are about that big by comparison.
Yeah, and that's small. That's the newer small one compared to the old.
Oh,
the old one was.
This is the DK. It's still that big. But the sensors we use literally fit in this space here.
That's wild.
And it gets better. The sensors we use have neural inference and machine learning built in, which basically means if you're using the Microsoft Connect, just broke my card. If I'm using the Microsoft Connect and we want to, say, do facial recognition or object detection, we have to use the third-party Azure cloud service to do it, which in itself is a breach of privacy laws in Europe because the data is not being obfuscated or otherwise anonymized before it goes there. Now, with our sensors, because we have onboard machine learning and neural inference, all of that happens on the sensor. So your face never, ever goes to the computer or mobile phone for processing. It's done there, which means we have the only sensors and the only software that's actually GDPR compliant for anything, for be it security, surveillance, patrol, consumer, business, and enterprise. Oh, and we are doing a raise at that company. We're doing a $3 million raise at a $20 million valuation.
Very nice. All right. Then that's your Series A there?
No, that's just our seed.
Oh, wow. Okay. Love it. Fantastic. Okay. Very cool. It's so much. I don't know how you keep it all. How do you? So yeah, from a purely time management perspective, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, most people, they've got one job, one thing they're trying to do, and then balance, life with that. You've got, it appears 27 jobs and a life. How do you balance that? What's the?
Well, I've got the 3 businesses. I've got the 4 kids and 1 wife and 1 cat. And I'd say I get very little sleep and I smoke inordinate amounts of weed.
Which you would think would help you sleep more?
No, I don't smoke that kind of weed. So basically, one of the things that people, so weed gets a bad rap because people see people like, I'm tired and all that crap. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Those guys are smoking indica-heavy weeds, which 9 times out of 10 have been covered in all kinds of chemical process to get them to grow bigger so they get more yield. It's shit. It's bad for you. It will twist your brain up. It will hurt you. Don't be smoking that stuff. So I always smoke either sativas or sativa hybrids. A sativa is what gives you the head high, which basically means you're actually running at you're not running in this kind of slow walking through mud phase, which you are when you smoke indicas. You feel light. You feel happy. So you're able to avoid the effects of tiredness. Now, admittedly, it probably isn't particularly great for this human body, but everybody else tells me I'm not human anyway, and I must be a robot. So I figure it's going to be okay.
That's awesome. All right. Well, JB, this has been fantastic. Like I said, I absolutely want to have you on once I get a chance to really start putting this stuff together. I'm super excited about the future, of Vox Messenger and crypto. I think what you've got going there is just going to be a game changer in terms of cybersecurity and people's own, protection, personal protection, especially with the Angel Eye stuff. So super awesome. If you could, before we head out, can you tell people where they can find out more about you, all the stuff you're doing, give them the lowdown, and we'll link to all of it below and everything as well. But go ahead.
Okay. So the 2 places you need to go are Linktree, HTTPS, Linktree/T3Chaos, but they'll supply that link in the comments. And of course, the Kryotech website. Where else? Kryotech.co.uk. And don't forget, Vox-Messenger.app. Oh my God. I need to come up with shorter names for everything. You can also pre-register interest in Vox Crypto at vox-crypto.app. So yeah, I don't put words together. I love the English language too much to have no space there. So I'm sorry, it is how it is. You have to put a dash in the middle.
Love it. Awesome. JB, thanks so much for coming on. We are going to have you on, I think, many, many times to come. This is really exciting stuff. Thanks so much for coming on. And until next time.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be here and blather about my stuff.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.